Since October 7th, 2023, and for the past number of decades, pro-Israel advocacy groups have been calling for stronger criminal law responses to address claims of rising anti-Semitism. These calls have taken a number of forms, including increased surveillance of Palestine solidarity activism, increased resources to be funneled into policing, and increased police powers to contain and condemn anti-Semitism. Policing, however, causes racial violence. It does not and cannot work to eradicate it. It will not work to increase Jewish safety. It will increase racialized police violence, and the calls emanating from pro-Israel lobby groups operate to fortify anti-Palestinian racism by exalting Orientalist tropes that other Palestinian people. In this moment, we are seeing the grave material consequences of this othering play out in support of genocide. These dynamics are exemplified by the newly enacted offense of Holocaust denial. In June of 2022, Parliament enacted Section 319 2.1 of the Criminal Code. Under the heading Willful Promotion of Anti-Semitism, it is now an offense in Canadian criminal law to communicate statements that willfully promote anti-Semitism by condoning, denying, or downplaying the Holocaust. Section 319 2.1 was purportedly a response to claims in rising anti-Semitism, and it was supported by B'nai B'rith, the Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center, and the Center for Israel-Jewish Affairs, or CIJA. It is inarguable that Holocaust denial is a hallmark of anti-Semitism. False claims about the Holocaust, including denial of it altogether, are relied on and promulgated by many groups, including and perhaps most notoriously by white supremacists. However, the politically charged climate within Section 319 2.1 came into existence, including amidst debates and competing claims about the meaning of anti-Semitism, its prevalence, and anti-Semitism allegations as they relate to critiques of the Israeli state bear further examination. Section 319 2.1 is only directed at speech that relates to the Jewish experience of genocide, as the heading includes the word anti-Semitism. This means that denial of queer, Black, disabled, and Roma people's experiences of the Holocaust are not covered by the gambit of the offense. What does it mean to instantiate the Holocaust as the only genocide, denial of which is recognized by the Criminal Code? It's perfectly legal in Canada for anyone to deny the history and ongoing legacy of colonization and the genocide of Indigenous people. It's perfectly legal to deny the history and ongoing legacy of slavery. It's not only legal, but perhaps encouraged in this particular moment to deny the Nakba. Recognition of Holocaust denial in the Criminal Code hierarchizes the Jewish experience of genocide, placing it above all others. This kind of exceptionalism cannot and will not alleviate anti-Semitism. A number of organizations made submissions to the Senate Committee on Legal and Constitutional Affairs regarding the proposed bill to criminalize Holocaust denial. Shimon Fogel, Chief Executive Officer of CIJA, had this to say about anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. And just a warning here that this quote that I'm about to read is very violent. This is the quote. "The kind of hatred expressed by the extreme right is beyond worrisome, as is their penchant for translating that hate into action. The delegitimization of some elements on the extreme left is equally worrisome because it marginalizes and excludes Jews from participation in things that are part of our DNA, including the pursuit of human rights. Then there are elements within the Muslim world, some of whom have a particular approach to their beliefs that create hospitable territory for that kind of extremism directed against Jews." And that's the end of the quote. The notion that human rights are part of Jewish DNA reveals a direct connotation to race and racialization. According to Fogel, while Jewish DNA is comprised of the pursuit of human rights, Muslim DNA is imbued with terrorism and extremism. Islam becomes race here, quite literally, and Muslims and Palestinians are racialized as inferior and intractable extremism part of their genetic makeup. We witness, again, in horror, the material consequences of this discursive violence in the form of genocide being waged against Palestinians. The comment also racializes Jewish people as white, liberal, and rights-loving. In reference to the new legislation to criminalize Holocaust denial, MP Anthony Housefather said this. This is a quote. "I really hope that we can also join together, in addition to condemning anti-Semitism, to agree that BDS, all forms of Israeli apartheid, all forms of heinous attacks against Jewish students on campus, and all the places where hate of Israel leads should also not exist in this country. And that's the end of the quote. The impact of this legislation here is revealed as a mechanism to chill speech critical of the state of Israel. According to House Father, fighting anti-Semitism means quite literally supporting the state of Israel, including its genocidal campaign. This is a gross distortion of the legacy of the Holocaust. I'll conclude by saying that in light of resurgent Black abolitionist calls to defund the police, and in support of anti-colonial, Indigenous-led movements, in solidarity with Palestinian people everywhere, and in order to address anti-Semitism and all forms of racism, including anti-Palestinian racism, we need to reject criminal law approaches that operate to foster racialized police violence, that erode solidarity, and that fortify narratives that manufacture consent to genocide.